Okay, record. I'm live.
Okay. So, and just want to go over a couple of things today. What did you think of that talk yesterday? He was teaching a class like this.
Yeah, it was really hard to hear the question.
Yeah, you couldn't hear the questions, but you could figure them out from the answers he gave. And Professor Bonner, I think was his name. I thought it was a nice follow-up to what I was teaching him because he was complimenting it and showing the unreasonableness of what he called, on one hand, pluralism of truth or relativism, these both terms. And what was his biggest, I thought it was kind of ingenious the way he critiques the people who put forth relativistic ideas. You say, well, all ideas are good, all ideas are equally valid, so what does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? If I'm saying, well, your idea is as valid as mine, then I have to agree with you, even if yours contradicts me.
Yeah.
So,
like saying, I think basically you're saying, if everybody's true, then nothing's true.
yeah, I mean, so, and what if you have two opposing viewpoints? And where this stuff hits the road, the rubber hits the road, so to speak, people usually don't disagree, it's the sunshine. Everyone agrees on that, unless you're psychotic. But assuming you're not psychotic, where is it that people are moral relativists? What area? Not scientific fact usually, not mathematical facts, okay? 2 + 2 = 4, no, I disagree with that, no, where is it? Where is it?
Moral and religious.
Moral, especially morality. That's where people, they fudge all the time. Well, you can believe what you want to believe, I'll believe what I want to believe, and everything's hunky-dory. So people will say, like some of you wrote on, I was reading over this afternoon your answers to questions of Pope John Paul II, St. John Paul II. His encyclical, Fides et Ratio, Faith and Reason. He starts out talking about, well, philosophy would address the questions of the meaning of life, and one of his widespread skepticism, relativism in our day has affected people's views on morality, moral norms. Give some examples. We'll give some examples. Okay, I mean, people who say, okay, well, I can be what they call pro-choice, which is abortion, and you can be pro-life, okay, and everything's just fine. We can both go our ways, and we can live a good, happy existence because you have your views and I have mine. Well, there's a problem. There's a problem. If you're saying it's not okay to kill unborn children in the womb, and I'm saying it is, well, they both can't be true. So, and if you just change the issue, and go back 150 years, what was the issue in this country that people were fighting about? They were fighting over slavery. And does anyone know the famous debates that took place? For the presidential election of 1860, famous debates between Illinois Congressman, or former congressman, I think he was at that time, named Abraham Lincoln. He was debating an Illinois senator by the name of, anyone know his name? Stephen Douglas. The Lincoln-Douglas debates. And do you know what? Judge Douglas, he was a judge, what his position was on slavery. Basically, it was this. I wouldn't personally own a slave, but I believe people should have a right to decide on their own whether they want to own slaves or not. So that was like the pro-choice position that we have today on abortion. Just change the issue. And I have a copy of this, actually the debate, the section of it. You know what Lincoln said to that in response? What would you say if you were Lincoln? Okay, Judge Douglas says, hey, I am not personally in favor of slavery, but if someone else wants to own a slave and have slaves, well, that's their free choice. So I'm going to uphold the law. How would you respond what would you say if someone says this? How would you respond? What would you say?
Say what?
How would you respond to Judge Douglas, who says, I'm personally opposed to owning slaves, but if someone wants to own slaves, that's their choice. They can own slaves if they want. What would you respond to that?
I would say that's wrong because slaves are people. They deserve to be enslaved.
Okay. Well, that's basically what Abraham Lincoln said in response to Judge Douglas. He says, well, Judge Douglas says, it's fine, he doesn't personally think slavery is a good thing, he wouldn't own a slave, but that he thinks it's fine for other people to own slaves, but the basic question is, or the basic issue is slavery is wrong. And you can't think it's all right to do wrong. Slavery is wrong, so I have to oppose slavery. And every good person should oppose slavery. It took convincing some people because if you know about the South, how were slaves viewed by the slave owners? They were viewed as chattel, as property. And the most horrendous thing, I think, of the whole slavery thing, I'm sure there were some slave owners that treated their slaves in a decent way, and they took care of them, fed them, they had to work in the fields, whatever. But I think the most evil thing about slavery, besides maybe treating them badly in some cases, was the family issue. Because they would split up families. If the farmer was the slave owner was in financial straits, he would just sell off people in families. So we would have family split. This is my mother and father. I'm going off being sold to some slave on the slave market in Mississippi, but I'm from Kentucky. Okay, you're gone. Has anyone seen 12 Years a Slave? Yes. Yeah. Good movie. Based upon, what was his name? I can't remember the fellow's name. He was a freeman. A cultured man, played violin, and he got suckered into performing for these guys who basically drugged him and then sold him as a slave. He was 12 years a slave. He escaped. And I'm sure that movie was portraying kind of the worst of slavery. It was the brutality of it, but I think they were trying to include what he experienced. Those were his memoirs, what he experienced as a slave. If you remember, those who've seen the movie, there was a family that was being sold off. Remember, they're crying, the kids are crying. It's like, well, you're the mom, you go with him, and you're the kids who go with him, and mom and dad are split up, and the kids are split up because this is, hey, you're chattel. That's how you're viewed. Okay? So no one would argue today in their right mind that just because of the consciousness of slavery being evil, that it's just okay to own slaves. I'm pro-choice on slavery. No one would take that position, I don't think. I've never run into anyone, even from the South, they would say, oh, I'm pro-choice on slavery. Yes, it's fine. I wouldn't own a slave personally. I'm personally opposed maybe even to slavery, but I'm not going to stop other people from owning slaves. If they want, that's their choice. Well, it's wrong. That's the bottom issue. That's what Lincoln said to Douglas. That's why he won the presidential election. So, that's what we're talking about with moral relativism. That's why it's a problem. Because it's really contradictory. As I said in the bold, after one of the questions, Are you rational? Reality check. Okay? You are really not sane if you hold to relativism. Because what you're saying, every opinion, every belief has equal value. Well, you can't function like this. You can't even play a basketball game like this. You can't play any game like this. We're all going to go out and play by our own rules. Well, instead of dribbling, I'll just run down the court. Like football, stuff in basketball. Well, that's what I want to do. You want to play by your rules, I want to play by mine. I mean, it's not rational to think this way. But usually, it's not in sports or science or other things that people take this position. It's on morality. And that's why we have to be able to articulate a response to people out there. What is the purpose of sexuality, for example? There is a purpose to sexuality. The primary purpose. There are a couple of purposes of sexuality. One is to bring people together in love, find they love each other, but the primary purpose of sexuality, why there are even sexual powers as human beings, is what, John? What do you think?
Make children.
What?
Make children.
To procreate new human life. That's it. And we can see this in the scriptures. In the beginning of the Bible, God makes the male and female. And what does God say? The first commandment to the human race is actually a blessing. God blessed them and said, be fertile and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Why does God want more children, more people? Because he needs more people, more happiness. So, not only from the Bible, though, but just from use of our reason, people throughout history, humanity, has recognized that sexuality has the purpose of bringing new life into existence. And and that's the purpose of marriage. That's why in every society, you go back to even the ancient pagan Greeks and Romans, they kind of tolerated homosexuality. There were, among the Greeks and Romans, there were people, they practiced homosexuality. They were like, well, we know that this is wrong, but we're not going to, kill people over it or whatever. But even the pagan Greeks and Romans never said it's okay for them to marry. They recognized marriage as linked with procreation of children and family. So we have to be able, as St. Peter said, first day of class, he said this, to give a defense or an explanation for our belief and our hope. We have to be able to explain to people reasonably, okay, what's wrong with relativism first. That's more of a philosophical question. Because people say, well, you think, same-sex marriage is wrong, I think it's okay, everything is comfortable. Well, no, there are problems with this. Another problem is the children. There's one famous actor who's given a public testimony. I forget his name. You can Google it and get it. He was raised by two lesbians. He said, I would never wish this on anyone. He said it was a horrible existence. He says, no. In God's plan, he wants... one of the things that gave marriage, so-called marriage, results in is the notion that people don't need a mother and father. It's okay if you don't have a mother and father. Well, no. People need a mother and a father. Why is that? Because are male and female the same? The mother can supply things the father can't, the father can supply things the mother can't. And that's what we call, the basic word, I think, to respond to people on the same-sex marriage thing is is the word complementarity. Men and women are complementary. We're not the same. How are we complementary? Let's look at us physically. Physically, we're complementary. Sexually, male and female go together. I like Mrs. Pitney. Has she ever spoken on this? Remember Mrs. Pitney? Mrs. Pitney uses an example. Okay. She says, she knows what my age is. Okay. Do two plugs go together? No. Do two sockets go together? No. Does a plug go with a socket? Yes. That's the physical aspect. Human life is generated through male and female, the complementarity. But is that all we're complementary on? We're complementary on not only physically, but emotionally, psychologically. Men and women are different. There are books written on this. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Both have their strengths and their weaknesses. Men and women both. So in marriage, that is meant to bring people together and for the good of the children too. So that's another reason why we say it's not good for children to be adopted or brought into these relationships, because people need a mother and father. When boys don't have a father around, they tend to get in trouble. I'm a former prosecuting attorney, and I saw this back 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Every year passes, I forget how long it's been. I left my law practicing law in 86, so I'm talking about 86. But I used to prosecute in the prosecutor's office juvenile delinquents. And most of them were boys, and about 95% of the boys came from homes where they didn't have a father. They don't have that discipline that they need. And there are other things with girls. The girls, they don't have a father around. They tend to look for love that they're not getting from the father and have children out of wedlock. I'm just stating facts. These are statistics. You can go and look at them. It's out there. So, not only from religious reasons do we argue that marriage is between a man and a woman. There are good reasons that we can use just using our intellect. Okay? Now, you got to where I wanted you to get to in that talk yesterday. Even though you didn't finish it, you got to the most important part. And you turn in you lost it. I had, all you have to do is look it up on the internet. Okay? And there it is. I want to go through it, answer the questions. Have it for me, not on Monday, Tuesday. Labor Day. We should be working on Labor Day, right? So, day of labor. Rest from our labors. So, teachers don't complain either, when you get laid off. One of the teachers told me she heard that most of the people that celebrate the most for snow days are teachers. Yes.
Please, how do you do the two marriages? Like, is one mass for like 8 and the other one at?
No, there's another priest in house. Father Lisa and I used to be together. We would go back and forth. But now there's another priest. He came last year when Father Lisa could no longer function. And that's Father Bob McDermott. So I'm at Mount Carmel. He's at St. Therese, and I'm at St. Therese. He's at Mount Carmel. We switch off every week. During the week, we go back and forth between the masses. Now, there is a I said this to John walking out the other day. Anyone know who C.S. Lewis is?
Yeah.
He's called the Christian apologist. He was making arguments in favor of believing in God. Anyone ever read any C.S. Lewis?
Well, we did a lot last year.
What did you hear Christianity?
Yeah. Here, Christianity was the last time.
Okay. He's making a case for belief in God. C.S. Lewis was a classicist. He studied the classics, Greek, Roman, Greek, Latin, and they read the ancient authors. Because they were filled with wisdom, they thought about things, like philosophical questions, and came up with a lot of good answers. And C.S. Lewis said, he said, if you don't think rationally, ratio means reason, reasonably, rationally. You will think irrationally. Someone say they're not rational. Here it's not. If you're not thinking rationally, you're going to think irrational. You ever said it to someone, you're not speaking rationally? I don't understand you. You're speaking gobbledygook. Your thoughts are all disconnected. I'm sorry, I don't understand. I get papers like that on my tests. Once in a while, some people write something and I can't make heads or tails of what they're trying to say. They're trying to say something. Sometimes maybe because their handwriting is bad. Please, if you're writing, take time to write so I can read it. Because if I can't read it, then it's nonsense to me. But if you don't think rationally, you will think irrationally. That's C.S. Lewis. He also said if you don't read good books, you will read bad ones. Read good books. That helps us think rationally. Now, Dr. Bonner, from yesterday's talk we listened to, he said there is such a thing as, it's okay to have a plurality of, what did he say, opinion, was it? What was the word? Perspective, that's it. A plurality of perspective. Sometimes, okay, people can look at, he's using a podium, okay? Well, I see it, from this angle, and you're seeing it from that angle, okay? Well, we're all looking at the same podium, okay? That's a plurality of perspective. And we can all agree that this is a podium, but we'll see it from different angles, and certain things will stand out one to another. That's okay. But to have a plurality of truth, like I each have, I'm seeing a different object, a different podium. Well, no, we can't do that. And, well, I think another way of translating that is there's truth, objective truth, as he calls it. What's true outside of our mind. Doesn't matter what we think. He even used the example of the sun. I used the example of the sun when I heard it or something. You're standing outside and something slide. I don't see the sun. He said that's not a self-evident principle, but he called it another principle. What was the word he used? I thought that was kind of neat. Actually, we didn't get to that part of his talk. Yeah, that came a little later. But a self-evident principle is an example of self-evident principle. A thing may not be and not be at the same time under the same circumstances. There's objective truth, and then there's subjective opinion. I'm going to read you some examples of whether it's objective truth or subjective opinion, because it's important to be able to distinguish these things. That's why God gave us an intellect. Okay? And this part of the earth is too hot. This part of the earth is too hot. Is that objective fact or subjective opinion? This part of the earth right here is too hot. Subjective. I may think it's too hot, but you may think it's too cold. There's a woman in my parish, she moved up here from Dallas, Texas, and she freezes all the time. I'm used to heat stuff. She said, up here it's cold all the time. I said, even now? She said, this is cold. Maybe not the past couple of days, but okay. So that's subjective opinion. Bill's car is blue. What do you think? Your shirt is blue. Objective fact or subjective opinion?
What about a colorblind person? Objective?
Include that. Is it objective truth or not that your shirt is blue? Is it objective truth or subjective opinion that your shirt is blue? Objective truth. Your shirt is blue. If someone's colorblind, they can't see it. That's their problem. If I'm shutting my eyes right now, I can't see what colors. You tell me your shirt is pink, I say, oh, well, okay, fine, your shirt is pink. That's not in keeping with reality. Objective reality is your shirt is blue. Diana's shirt is red. Your shirt is yellow, red, black, okay? That's an objective truth. That's something that's true, whether we see it or not. And there's some goldfish make good pets. John, goldfish make good pets. Subjective. Subjective. You may think they make good pets. I may think they're good for food. Put a little salt on them, it tastes good. Goldfish. Jesus rose from the dead. Objective truth. Either he rose or he didn't. So if someone doesn't believe it and it happened, well, it doesn't matter what we believe. So we have to be able to distinguish what is truth and what is subjective opinion. And actually I wrote down here, this was from last year, on the William Douglas debates. Douglas says it's personally opposed. And what's true for you is not true for me. Well, that's okay on matters of a perspective of what do you call it again? Perspective of plurality perspective. It's all right from one's perspective to say what's true for you is not true for me. That's okay if you're talking about something that is a personal opinion and you're talking about something that is your personal taste. Chocolate ice cream is better than vanilla. Well, that's subjective opinion. Okay? Okay? Now, I'm going to write something on the board here. The ancients were filled with wisdom. This is why C.S. Lewis is talking about reading the books. Plato, Aristotle, all these philosophers throughout the ages, and they said something. famous saying in Latin. It goes back to the ancient thinkers like Plato, Aristotle, actually to the Romans. Okay? Gustibus non disputandum est. Gust means taste. Of the things of taste, it is not to be disputed. You don't argue over things of personal taste. Don't argue over personal taste. Or dispute. Disputandum. Things of personal taste. Or opinion. Ice cream flavors, okay? Example. We're going to have a knockdown, drag-out fight, philosophical argument for going for hours, for weeks, for days, for months, years, over whether chocolate is better than vanilla. You don't argue, dispute over things of personal taste. You like chocolate, I like vanilla. So, I like hot peppers. Hotter the better. I used to look down the street from a Mexican restaurant, and when I was in law school, and I wanted a quick meal off the time, so I used to go down to the Mexican restaurant. The guy was, because I was a regular customer, he used to make me a burrito that was like this big. And anyway, he gave me hot peppers, and I'd be eating the hot peppers, just sweating, just eating my burrito, my hot pepper, and I loved it. One thing I can recommend though, anywhere here where contact lenses, never clean your contact lenses, right? Once you soft ones you take out the treatment, after you eat hot peppers. Because that hot pepper substance, whatever it is, gets into the contact lenses, and I put them on the next day, I'll burn my eyes off. Even though I wash my hands. That was on your fingers, kind of careful. It's not like it's
yeah, I used to work at a Mexican place, like I was a kitchen lead, so like just under a manager. And one time we had this guy come in and order a burrito that was like $29 and we required 4 tortillas for that. We ate all in like 45 minutes.
Oh.
Well, yeah, from Chipotle, we were $29.
I looked at a Chipotle.
Yeah, I live in Racine, so there's one not far from my house.
Where is it located?
Like on Highway 20, you can go there.
We don't have a Chipotle here.
No, but we're just going in on Highway 20.
Where is it?
But yeah, my mom was good friends with the guy that was in charge of the architect like permits, wasn't sure. And they're putting one in their agriculture.
And Chipotle is good food, and they use the what is it, the pork that's not
Everything now is non-GMO or anything. Which I don't really think it makes much of a difference in the taste, but it, yeah, it's fine.
well, it's good to eat healthy. You are what you eat, so it's part of good moral theology as well. That we eat well to keep fit, right? Okay. So, one thing I just said, I'll say this, and he's not here to exact. I'll have to repeat this today. But this is linked with the idea of objective truth versus subjective opinion. When you're answering the question here in the class, don't say I feel. Say I think. I think this or think that. Because I don't care how you feel. Well, feelings, I mean, if you feel like you're going to throw up, tell me, and I'll say, go down to the bathroom and, use that. If you feel like your kidneys are bursting, you have to go to the bathroom. Tell me how you feel. But if I ask you for, okay, what do you think about, I see this all the time when people are being interviewed. Okay? Well, what are your thoughts on this topic? Well, I feel this way. No. Feel, what do you mean? You have some warm, fuzzy feeling inside? Oh, I think this, I think that. That's what our minds are for. Our minds are made to think. So we don't want to talk about feelings because feelings don't matter. It's like how I feel personally about something or whatever. I want reasoned responses. That's what we should give to people, especially in class like this. Yes.
Saying like, I believe that.
I believe that. Yeah, that's okay. I think that, I believe that, but I feel that. If you said, oh, well, I feel that there is a God. Why? You feel that there's a God. What do you mean? Does the sun say anything? That you feel, well, I feel good about myself, so that there's a God. I don't know what you mean to say, I feel that there is a God. I believe that there's a God. I know that there's a God. You use it by reason. I can reason to the fact that God exists. It will show how it's. 5 minutes left. Should I stop here? Should I? What do you think I should do?
I think we should control. Okay. I feel that. I think that Luke is lying. Moral certainty.
Moral certainty. Well, that was one of the last questions that we dealt with. What did he say? I'm going to get that page out. He said, well, what is objective truth? Conformity of the mind with reality. Okay? So, he says, what problems do we encounter regarding acceptance of truth in the intellect? What problems? Okay. Well, we can be filled with biases, with prejudices, with emotion. Okay. Our emotions may get all involved in something, and over the need to protect our belief system. Someone's never want to present a reasonable argument to someone and they just won't listen. No, I'm going to stick to my position, no matter how unreasonable it is. It's like, well, that's when you're saying, well, you're not thinking rationally. I'm presenting a reasoned argument, and you're not listening. Why? Because the person is just holding to their point of view out of maybe personal pride, vanity. I refuse to give up my opinion, but they can't offer a reason. So, actually, this is Pitpayne. Has an article on this from a book by priest Father today, the reasons for our certainty and reasons for our belief. It's a chapter out of the book which I'm going to give you next week, which is